Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB. With me is the old man, and we're breaking down Florida State's big victory to go 5-5 against Virginia Tech, 34-14.
You're hyping the show, huh, KB?
Wow.
You're I'm glad to see that energy. You know, you come on, hey, welcome back, the Seminole Sideline.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that we got a win. I'm excited the way we played in the second half. I'm excited to see a mostly complete football game. And it's good momentum going into NC State Friday night next week. So we'll break down this game. We'll obviously have a preview show later next week against NC State. But you're back on track to bowl eligibility.
One more game, baby. One more game.
Obviously, that obviously is the only goal right now you have ahead of you. So, you kept on track. You got one out of two. And the goal continues. So let's break it down here.
Your goal is to get a swag bag at the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah. So I think this was overall an interesting game. Offensively, I think they struggled in the first half. Interestingly enough, when we look at the PFF grades, because obviously those are available today, and that's one of the advantages of doing this, Sunday night versus right after the game.
True.
We get to see how they grade it out. So overall, it was, not one of their top overall highest rated games by PFF. You can see they got an 80 overall, which ranks behind the Pittsburgh game, the Virginia game, and then some of the cupcakes. But in terms of why they won, it was because they played mostly a complete game, especially in the second half. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, wasn't one of their better graded games. When you look at some of the results, it was kind of a mid-tier game, because I think we'll talk through that, why the offense, especially kind of in the first half, you only had 10 points, but you only had 3 possessions. But we'll break that down a little bit more. But it was a weird first half in how those drives went and the limited amount of possessions you had in that first half. Defensively, one of their highest rated games, honestly, outside of some of the cupcakes. It was one of their highest rated games of the season in regular season ACC play. And the score reflects that.
It didn't seem that way sometimes watching the game, though.
It didn't seem that, because they were giving up a lot of yards, but those yards weren't translating into points, and that's all that really matters.
Bend don't break. Don't break. Yeah.
They were able to, not let a bunch of huge plays get behind them. They kept most of the yardage in front of them, and were able to kind of deal with the damage and negate it to a field goal, a touchdown here or there, but it wasn't it wasn't sustained, and they allowed the offense to get back in the field, especially in the second half. They were able to cause some turnovers, and they played pretty clean football, which is something we couldn't say the last couple of weeks. So let's start on the offensive side. In the Gus Malzahn offense, especially in the first half. The first half, I'll start with, like I say, it was super weird. You only had 3 possessions in the entire first half. I'm sorry,
there were no punts by either team in this entire game. Have you ever watched a football game with not one punt?
And it's weird considering Virginia Tech only had 14 points. So it wasn't like you would have thought a team that only had 14 points would have punted. But no, you're right. And it was because a couple of things. It was one, because they went for it on fourth down, obviously trying to convert, but also you kind of
wonder if that's
turnover.
The future of college ball, is because the analytics are telling people if you're on the, I guess the word is plus side, you're on the other opponent's side, which is the plus side if you're driving the ball. If you're on the plus side, that you're starting to go for more of the 4th and 3s, 4th and 2, 4th and 1s. Is that the future? I wonder if punting is starting to decline somewhat.
Unless you have an elite punter, or unless you believe you can pin them within the 10, 15-yard line,
Right.
I think you do see a lot more of that
And
because
field goals are now going for 55 yards.
yeah,
right?
That's part of it, and I think it's because too you only have so many possessions in the game, so if you give the ball back and punt it off, that next drive on the opponent's side may be 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. You may not get the ball back.
You're exactly right. And given the possessions in this first half, like you said, I've got it here in my numbers. We had the ball 3 times in the first half. 3. Yep. That's 3 times in the first half.
Yeah.
And they had it 4 times.
Yeah. And talking about that first half offensively, Florida State put together sustained drive. They put together long drives, which is something we had struggled with, I felt, in a couple of our losses. First drive was 5 minutes long. The second drive was 6 minutes long. And the second one was pretty quick because he scored a touchdown. But the first drive seemed like a tone setter, but it was capped off the wrong way. 5 minutes, 79 yards, ends with a field goal miss. And that's deflating because this is how I was like, here we go again. Great drive, long drive, ends in nothing. And at that point, I was like, we got to evaluate our kicking situation because Weinberg once again, it was a 35, 36-yarder. He just flunked it. Like, it was unbelievable. But also, almost 80 yards in 5 minutes, and then all you come away with is a field goal attempt. That is kind of disappointing, especially in the game where you're going to get limited possessions like this. Second drive, too, same thing. 6.5 minute long drive, 56 yards, into the field goal. This one's made, but once again, it's only 3 points. Florida State, this is one thing we talked about, the red zone efficiency, stuff like that. That's great. But I think they've struggled to finish drives with touchdowns.
I think the stats show that nationally.
Yeah, and 7 on the board when they need to get, especially early in games. Starting out fast in games is something they struggled with. Especially, you saw it last week against Clemson when you only got 10 on the board, but you had opportunities to put points on the board early in the first half against Clemson.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to ask you this because you were talking about the first drive, 13 plays, like how many minutes? You said 8 or 9 minutes or whatever it was.
5 minutes.
We missed a field goal, a 34-yard field goal. Here's what I want to ask you, because I'm not in favor of this, and I'm wondering why it happened. They used, if I counted right, 4 or 5, I think it was 4 running backs on that first drive, and I have on my notes, WTF. Why would you use 4 running backs? I don't think it was situational football. I don't buy that explanation from the pressers. 4 running backs in the first 13 plays on a drive. What is the function of that? And there weren't any trick plays that I'm aware of. But what I'm saying, 4 different guys carried the ball. Why would you do that?
And one of them, I think, on that drive or the second drive was Keziah Holmes, who got his only carry of the game, I believe.
Exactly.
Like, he only got 1 carry in the entire game. It was on that drive. I was kind of perplexed there too, and we had talked about it in the pregame show. We would like to see a shorter running back rotation and let guys get into the field of the game, let them kind of lean on the defense, especially guys like Chroma who break so many tackles, and our younger guys that you want to see more of, and let them get more into a rhythm, especially because these are guys.
Which happened during the game. The younger guys got the most carries, Singleton. And Cromar.
Correct.
And Cromar.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to see, and it did turn out that way. But you still did feature 6+ running backs in this game.
Why
and
are you doing that in the first drive?
It was weird. No, I have, once again, I think it's one of these over complexities and head scratchers of the Gus Malzahn offense, which I just think, I don't know if it adds anything to it. And I think one of those things where it's like, I'll be glad when it's over, because I just think it's not necessary. When you have some talented running backs, you don't need to go 6 deep. And I don't think the talent is as great at the bottom as it is at the top. I'd rather see more Chroma and Singleton than I would necessarily.
That's the future. That's the future.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I agree with you. I thought it was kind of perplexing there.
And I hope someone in the pressers maybe tomorrow will ask that question.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that? And I know the answer is going to be, situational football and the balance and where we are on the field, all that word salad.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense And I'm flat telling you, it makes no sense to have 5 running backs in 13 plays on the first drive. Makes no sense at all. And I truly question that. I truly question that because the running back can't even get his tempo. These guys, and I felt this. This is just the feelings. I'm watching the game like you're watching the game. These guys spend more time running in and off the field, right?
Yeah.
Because they're always looking over, kind of like me, and who's coming and who's going, I think is bullshit. I think it's confusing for the players, and I think it hurts you offensively.
Yeah. No, I agree. But like I said, it seemed to work in the end, in that you were able to establish the run. You were able to run for 237 yards, which we said it was going to be key to make this a balance. No, not even a balance, but you need to run. You don't want Castellanos throwing for 40-ish times a game, or get into what happened at Clemson. He only had to throw the ball 24 times, which is up there, but it's still not as much. But 237 yards on the ground is going to win you a lot of games if you're in this offense, and you only needed 190 yards passing to win it as well, and only 189 from Castellanos. So I thought you were able to do well enough with the run game, especially in the second half. Maybe you wore them down. Maybe it was fresh legs. Maybe it was a mixture of both. But you're really able to get that run game going. And I thought, and it was like you said, it was across the board. It wasn't one guy who had 100 yards. Chroma had the most efficient of the running backs with 59 yards on 11 attempts and a long at 18. Sam Singleton, I also thought, played a very, very strong game once again, with 14.
What do you see as the difference between those two backs, which could be the future backs of this football team in 2026? Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chroma has the ability to break. He's a more physical back. He can carry guys. He can break tackles. A couple of times he got hit in the backfield and he still got it for a yard or so. Like he's a more physical back, and I think he has a much higher ceiling than Sam Singleton does in terms of just physicality and being a bruiser, but also having the elusiveness to get to the next level. Sam Singleton, I think, is a look for the hole and jump through it and just go straight. He doesn't necessarily, from what I've seen this season, have the field vision to be able to see it down the field and then cut and kind of see the open lane down further down the field. I think he looks for the hole and just accelerates through it, and then that's it. That he's just going to go straight. And that's fine. He's a fast guy, and that's what he excels at. So I think they could be kind of like I don't want to say thunder and lightning, because I don't think Chroma is necessarily just a big bowling ball. I think he does have skills to be able to bounce outside. I think he's more of a complete back than Sam Singleton is once he develops, because we have to remember he's a true freshman. He's still learning. Singleton's
new. I mean, he's a sophomore, I think, or a redshirt.
He's been in the system for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I think Chroma, you have to remember, is 6 months out of high school.
He's brand new. Yeah. What I see, and I agree with a lot what you're saying. But you and I have talked offline a little bit too, and during a show where we thought Cromar sometimes gets to the line slow. He's looking for a hole. He's looking for that hole to go through, and he dances a little bit. Where Singleton hits the line. You tell me if you disagree. He hits the line pretty damn quick, and I thought I saw that last night, where Singleton, to me, gets to the line of scrimmage quickly and gets through quickly. And I think he has enough power to run over some people. Cromar is the bigger back. Sometimes he just dances too much for me, and they catch up to him. I think you're always going to go back to what you've done. Now, both of these guys, and especially Cromar in high school, he overmatched most of the teams they played. Okay. He was a much bigger guy than most of the team defenses that he played, and he's able to get away with a lot of that shit, to take his time and get through. At this Division I level, he's not going to have that much time to pick these holes. So I think if he does anything, he needs to probably develop a little bit more to getting to the line a little bit more quickly. But I totally agree with your physicality piece of it.
Yeah, I agree it's somewhat, but I do think Chroma's he's shown very good things. I mean, he's third in the country in missed tackles for the weekend. Like he's not getting easy lanes either, and maybe some of that is vision, but he's also getting met at the point of attack a lot, and he's forcing a lot of missed tackles, and I think that is a huge thing, and he made the most of it. He was the most efficient running back last night with it. So
Well, they
if
were
he's
pretty
not,
close. It was
it,
Cromar had 11 of 59, Singleton had 14 of 53, but yeah, Cromar had 5.4 yards per carry.
yeah.
Um,
So that's what I'm
I'd
saying.
like to see both go into 2026. I think that would. I
But
feel
what
pretty
I'm
good
saying is
with
you
those
may
two.
not be able to get. I mean, this is a kid they flipped from Georgia, and I can see why. Because if you put that kid behind a Georgia's line,
Oh
the
yeah.
offensive line, there's going to be bigger holes than you get at Florida State. So that's what that's the difference, right? But no, I would love to keep both those guys. So I do think those could be foundational guys for your football team, especially in offense and whatever this offense looks like next year, whether that's Gus Malzahn here next year, whether that's a new offensive coordinator. I think that'd be attractive to many coaching staffs to have
Well,
those two
my
guys
my
back there.
concern, KB, is we're going to have to rebuild the entire offensive line. Maybe we keep Otto. Maybe Lucas will be ready to go on the offensive line. Otherwise, we're going to have to go to the portal, bring a bunch of guys in. I wonder if that really gets into the head of Cromar, a young guy, Cromar and Singleton. I wonder if that gets into their head a little bit of whether they move on or at least they're going to ask for a bigger bag to stay and play. Because I'd like to keep both those guys in the running back room. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in the age of NIL, a lot of teams are going to be bringing guys in and out. So I think playing behind a rebuilt line is not something that it
I
should be a
wouldn't
big
want
deal
to
to them.
do
I think playing
necessarily.
time. Well, they may not necessarily get starting playing time behind an elite offensive line either. So it's
Yeah.
where am I going to get the highest chance to get play, and do I trust the people around me? It's those two things. But saying, "Oh, I'm only going to play behind the best elite offensive line in the country," well,
No, I
sorry, if
know.
you leave, that's not going to be the case necessarily. So you may leave, get some more money or less money because you may be running back 3 or 2 on that team versus 1 or 2 on the
Right.
current team behind
Right.
a rebuilt offensive line. So you got to take what's in front of you, and if you would trust the administration and what they say they're going to be building. Now, if you have no head coach in a month, that changes things too. So there are a lot of dynamics at play here. But let's focus on this game and the offense again. So once again, the first half, they started off slow. I mean, you only had 3 possessions, but you only had 10 points, and you had very good drives. This, for this offense and how explosive it can be, the inability for them to start out fast has hurt them in the last couple of weeks. The Clemson game, basically the fumbles, the turnovers, the penalties, those killed you. In this game, it didn't hurt you. You were extremely efficient, extremely, 1 penalty for 5 yards. You were very clean with the football, very clean, no penalties essentially. But the points just weren't there. That's something that, if Gus Malzahn or whoever returns to the offensive coordinator, you got to find a way to get the ball in for 7 in the first half, because this is an offense that if they get ahead, I think the defense can thrive on that, because then it forces the opposing offense to do more things, and especially a team like Virginia Tech. We said if we get ahead of them, then they're going to struggle. This is not a Virginia Tech team that could play from behind due to their quarterback not being a true passer, right? They want to run the ball. They want to establish the run. And in some respects, they did have a very good run game. But once they got behind, once the defense was able to keep points off of their board, then Drones, we knew, sitting back and passing was not going to be able to move the ball effectively and score explosively against us. No, he is not.
A good passer.
He is not. And I said that before the show. I said he's not going to be a hot commodity, and because he can't pass the ball.
No, he's more of a runner, and that's how he makes his money. But he's not a good passer. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the third possession when Deuce gets the 50-yard touchdown pass from Tommy was the biggest play of the first half. That put 10 points up for the Noles. And then Virginia Tech, had struck with 7. So it was 10-7 at half. I think this offense, like you say, we kind of win the time of possession. We kind of win total yards all the time. In this particular game, as you mentioned, 1 penalty, I think, or one, the penalties weren't an issue in anything. We had no turnovers of any kind. We should be putting a minimum of 17 to 21 points each half, I believe, something of that nature. Now, nationally, we're probably, because of the cream puff games, we're still probably averaging, we were averaging 30 some points. I think we're probably averaging still over 30 points in the ACC and nationally. That's my guess without looking at facts and figures right now. But yeah, this thing of chewing up a lot of yards and getting no points out of the red zone or just field goals can lead to disasters.
Yeah, no, I agree. On the defensive side, like we kind of mentioned it before, it was a very bend but not break kind of style. And I said, and we both said, the Virginia Tech team can run the ball. They have really good players, really good running backs, and then they have an offensive
and they
scheme
try
with drones.
They haven't quit. Yeah, they haven't quit.
Yeah, it's not about, but they have players and they have a scheme with drones, especially. They have multiple threats at the running back position and multiple ways they can attack you. And with the 3-3-5, and sometimes how these linebackers have played, it's susceptible, and we've seen it all season long, to a dynamic run game. And they exploited that. The first drive of the game with Virginia Tech, they just shoot it up. They really shoot up this offense. Or they shoot up this defense, but thankfully, the second drive, but the first drive was great. You force drones to throw it deep. Jerry Wilson makes a great play on the ball. You turn it over, you get it back to the offense. The second drive was almost a 9-minute drive for Virginia Tech that results in a field goal miss. Once again, you get your team off the field. They eat up 6 minutes, and you get the field goal miss, get them off the field. Once again, they go then and then do a 5-minute drive, touchdown, and drones, I believe, runs it in for a couple of yards there, uses dynamic ability.
Yeah,
that's a 75-yard touchdown, and then next one ends. So, one touchdown in 4 possessions. One of them's an interception. One's a field goal miss. You do a pretty good job, but you were getting chunked up. But only one of 4 drives led into 7 points. And for most, I can't fault them for that. For the most, they only kept 7 points in the game. They kept this offense in the game because you only put up 10 yourself. And then in the second half, they did a remarkable job as well. 4 drives for Virginia Tech. Once again, there was a low possession game for both sides because both teams were possessing the ball for 4 to 7 minutes per drive, somewhere in there. Yep. The first drive out for Virginia Tech, it was a long drive, 4 minutes, 42 yards, resulted in the fumble. You force a fumble, get the ball back, get it back to your offense. Who go and score.
Hats off to Mandrell Desir, another guy, and his brother we need to keep in 2026. Yeah. We'll talk sometime in the future about all that, who we keep. Yeah.
And talking about, foundational player there, makes a huge play in the game, probably the turning point in the game, I would say, forces a big play. I believe your offense goes on the back of that and scores, and he's a piece of a player. And I think really the defense in itself kind of rally around that. Now, the next drive, they do get the ball back, 4 minutes, 75 yards. They do score a touchdown to continue to keep it close. But then in the fourth quarter, they don't get it back in the third. In the fourth quarter, they get two drives, both of them end in downs. You basically shut them down in the entire fourth quarter, and you run away with it offensively. So, once again, it was complimentary football. Every time, they would get a turnover for the offense scored in the second half. If they got them over on downs, they would score. The offense would score. So really in the second half, they played such great complementary football that that's how this team needed to play more this season. The defense gets a stop. Florida State gets the ball back in great position. Yeah. They go and make the opposing defense pay for it. And that was 3 touchdowns in 4 drives in the second half for Florida State, which is that's the execution we're talking about. And these are long drives, 63 yards, 67 yards, 61 yards, all touchdowns. That's the type of offense we needed so much in this game. Long drives, sustained drives that end in 7 points. And it was great to see that in the second half.
How about the kickoff returns by Lucas? How about that? I think he made some money for himself in that game for the next look at the next level. I
don't think he made I don't know if you can't just do it for one game. We need that all year long. That's my question. Where is that? Where has that been?
Why haven't he? Yeah, I know. And he was taking them. I mean, those kicks weren't short. He was taking them at the goal line or 1 yard deep, right?
No, and this is why you recruited this guy. This is why you recruited this guy from Indiana, because of that kick return ability. Where has this been? Where has this been? That's the question for me. When we struggled, with kickoffs and punt returns, stuff like that, I don't know why this hasn't been happening more. But that's a great point. You
That
got some really good.
That may be his best game as a Florida State Seminole.
Yeah, and it on special and it was just
he
on
played
special
a lot.
teams.
Yeah, he played especially and some gadget plays he was in on. He carried the ball a couple of times. Yeah, he carried the ball as part of the running back crew. So that's why I counted like 6 running backs had carries in this game. He had a couple of carries. But you're exactly right. Your summary there was perfect. I mean, the second half touchdown, first right after halftime, we get the ball, we score a touchdown. That's what good teams do. That's what playoff teams do. And then there was they get the ball, they fumble, they turn it over. Great defensive pressure, and we score another touchdown. We make them pay for it because we picked it up. We were at our, I think we were at our 31 when that came to us. No, maybe not. Maybe it was something. But we get another touchdown, and then when we get the ball back again, they turn the ball over. We get another touchdown, like you said, and then we end up with a field goal. And then Brock Glenn comes into the game. The game's over. And I thought it was interesting when Brock Glenn came into the game for mop-up duty that Sperry's redshirting. There's no doubt in my mind. He's definitely going to be the red shirt. And I think that's a smart thing to do for 2026 to see what happens there. There's no sense wasting him in these next couple of games in that regard. So that'll be a very interesting thing. And
one thing on that point around red shirts I was thinking about is the reason why you may not be seeing Cam Davis could be the same thing.
He did carry, that.
He did. I know he did carry last night, which once again I felt like was a waste.
Like two carries or something.
But he's only played in 3 games. So I believe he could redshirt, preserve his eligibility in one of these next 2 games. He should not play the next 2 games. He should play one of the 2 because there's no reason. He's only had 8 carries this entire season, and 2 of them were last night, which once again, that makes no sense to me. It was garbage time. I know the kid wants to play. He's working hard to get back from injury, but he literally hasn't played since Kent State. And
I think they did that as a motivational tool. He's been injured. He's trying to work back, get him into a game, lights, under the lights, the big crowd. And some things you do it to keep motivational going.
But I want to protect it. But I also, as long as he's good with it, I do want to protect his eligibility for himself too, as a player, to say we're not going to burn you just at the end of the season.
Absolutely, you do the right thing for the player,
especially in that loaded running back room. Like it wouldn't be fair to him to say, "Hey, we're going to give you 1 carry per game and waste your season," when we have 6 running backs we've been rotating the entire year.
Absolutely. Now, I thought what was interesting too, KB, as we talked about in the preview show, that we said. That Mike Norvell said, not me, but Mike Norvell said that, Usman Kromar was a key piece of the offense the rest of the way, and that he'd be getting more opportunities. And he did. He did get more opportunities. He led in carries, total carries, I believe. How did he grade out?
He graded out. So he graded out offensively at let me pull up the running grades. He had a 68 running grade. 68. Wow. Which was second highest on the team running wise. I mean,
because
that was
the previous week, if I had that right, he was like 87.
Let me see his total here. Here's his weekly. So he graded out a 68 offensive grade against Virginia Tech.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. What I'd like to see a little bit more of is whether or not Kromar and Singleton can catch the ball out of the backfield. Can they run a wheel route and get on a linebacker, and can they catch the ball? We've seen Kromar catch balls. We've seen Kromar drop balls. I don't think I've seen a ball thrown at Singleton. And Cam Davis, his hands are questionable. He hasn't been tested a lot. He's been tested a couple times. I don't think it went very well. These 3 guys are going to be very interesting in the road ahead. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to watch their future, of where that future may lead them. But I think if they all come back for 2026 and we add a couple of pieces, I expect there'll be some veterans. Who else is eligible to come back in the running back room?
Well, they have a lot of. I mean, they have Roydell, I think, is done.
He's done.
He got a couple. He got 1 carries, 1. Yeah, he walked.
Done.
other guys, I mean, Jalen Lucas, I believe,
He's
has another
done.
year. No, he's a. What do you mean he's
Oh,
done?
that's
Why are
right.
you
No,
saying
he's a
things you say
junior.
he's done? Like, so he's a junior. Other running backs, Sawchuk, I believe you said you were going to verify if Sawchuk's done. It says
I
he
think
lists him
he's
as
a
a
junior.
junior.
I think he is a
I thought
junior.
he had played multiple, like
Wow.
5 years, but no, I think
Wow.
you're right. I think unless as long as he got a red shirt, he should be back, and I believe he did red shirt in 2022.
Wow.
So I think he could come back or be somewhere else. I don't expect all three of those
No, but
back
it
on the
seems
same
like we
team.
could be pretty solid. Maybe they grab a guy out of the portal. We could
Yeah,
be pretty solid. As you said earlier this week, I think you said maybe we're a
and Cam
little.
Davis, and Cam
We have
Davis would
too
be back.
many chairs. Yeah, we have too many chairs in that room because then you can't feed everybody.
Yeah.
You got
And
too many
unless you
kids.
think you're going to lose 3 running backs to injury, which most of them have been pretty healthy
Well,
this year,
no, but you
except for Cam
can
Davis.
lose one or two.
But you don't need
Sometimes.
7. You don't need 7
No,
starting running
no,
backs. Like,
not
I
not
mean,
not not to pay. Yeah, I mean
no,
it's
no.
hard to pay that many.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're
So,
looking at a four-star guy out of high school right now in the class. I
yeah,
forget who he is. That'll be interesting to see. Unless that's the guy who already decommitted, but I don't remember. I
yeah,
don't remember. But I thought as you've already summarized, they played a pretty perfect game. I thought Tommy missed some wide open guys, but that's him. That's Tommy. He's not
yeah,
an elite passer. He's probably an average to average plus quarterback passer in this league. I think I don't see what I'd like to see is, can Deuce Robinson go across the middle about 15, 20 yards? I haven't seen a lot of that with
he
Deuce.
got that one ball with his
Yeah,
hands where
it was a great catch.
Tommy put it out way kind of far in front of him, and he caught it
Great
right with his
catch.
hands, right with his
That
hands.
is a next level catch right there.
Yeah,
I think Deuce Robinson overall he has the best he's the best receiver on his football team. But just looking in objectively, I think he's got pretty good hands. I know there were a couple of jump balls there in the end zone, but those weren't easy catches.
no, he's got a
Most of
little.
us have never done that, never will.
Oh
That,
no, no.
to say, well, he should have caught that. Most people who are in the position to say he should have caught that have never caught a ball like that, have never gone up for a ball like that, and never will. It's not that easy sometimes, but he definitely is going to get a very good. He's going to get drafted. We just don't know what round.
Yeah,
Probably in the top 3 rounds
I think
potentially.
he reminds me a lot of Johnny Wilson. I think
Yeah, he
he
does.
had
He's got
sometimes he
better hands than
bobble.
Johnny
He's
Wilson.
got better
He's got
hands. He
better
still
hands.
has a bobble issue at times. He
Yeah.
sometimes he has a double catch a ball when you
Yes.
think that's the easy catch for him, but he makes then a crazy catch, which is kind of Johnny's thing. Johnny would make the tough catches and then struggle with the easy catches. But I
Yeah,
do
it was
think he's a
weird. Yeah.
better player. The only other thing Deuce has to watch out for is he has a tendency to try to push off when he doesn't need to. He likes to create space, and I think that will be called at the next level a lot more. But overall,
I don't know. At the next level, they let them play a little bit more, I think, than they do at the college level. I think they let him play a little bit more. They're a little bit more physical, and he'll have to be physical, so that may benefit him.
yeah,
And I don't know what his speed is. I can't really tell, just from TV. I don't know if that's a problem.
I
Not a
don't think it's a
problem.
problem.
I
Yeah,
don't think it's a problem. He's got as much speed as Johnny had, I think, if you lined him up. But what did you think on Danzy? Did you think he didn't have? I thought he'd have a little bit more of a breakout game last night, but
yeah. He
I
dropped the
really didn't see
ball. He
that.
dropped the
Yeah.
ball. He had one big run, kind of ended
Yes, he did.
around
Yeah,
for
yeah,
24 yards. But outside of
yeah.
that, he hasn't been really a receiving threat the last 3 or 4 games. I forget which game it was where he really popped off, but the last 3 or 4 games, he really hasn't been part of the passing game, which is disappointing because I was on the hype train. I thought he had the best hands on the team, and then it's kind of like disappeared a bit in terms of his receiving threat. He's kind of gone back to more of the gadget player, which is disappointing to me because the last 3 games receiving wise, zero receiving against Virginia Tech, 19 against Clemson, 67 against Wake. And that's a total of 4 receptions in the last 3 games. That's I hate to see that because once again, if you lose Deuce, then you lose everything. It seems like in terms of passing the football, and that kind of makes you fundamentally kind of one-sided. But in the 2 games previous to that, Stanford and Pitt, he had 239 yards in 2 games and 10 receptions. Those are the games that really started to get me to see like this guy could be once again a foundational piece for next year because we are going to be looking for guy. You lose Deuce because he's definitely not coming back in my eyes. He's going to the next level. Or he's going to the next level, or he's going to Ohio State. Like one of the two, right? He's going to get paid.
Or one of the top 10 teams. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you need to figure out who are your receivers that you can play around next year, and can you get Micah Danzy bought in to say I will not just do track, but I will stick with you for for football.
I think Danzy. Yeah, I think he's going to further develop. I think he can make more money in football than he will make in track. LaWayne McCoy is an interesting guy. I think he has potential. He needs more development, and hopefully he will be back on this team next year. Gavin Blackwell, I don't know where the hell he is. I have no clue where he is. BJ Gibson has gone to baseball. So, again, kind of a rebuild there. Boggs was supposed to be back. I didn't see him on the field at all. He was supposed to be available. No, they said he was available before the game, but he didn't play. But McCoy, it's kind of like Deuce, it's Danzy, and it's McCoy. Those are your top 3. And then you have Pittman. I don't see anything else in the tight end room that's they're not those guys. If you looked at the tight end room and who's had catches, if you consider Pittman a tight end, or is he's more of a
utility. He's a utility piece. He runs, he blocks, he catches, he does.
But they're not throwing anything to the tight ends, which I think is a mistake. Because that challenges linebackers, that takes linebackers, it takes pressure off your quarterback. I know they block, but it's just they're getting no production out of that from Pat. I don't know why a tight end who wants to catch the football would come to Florida State at this point. I really don't.
It's this style of offense, so maybe not. Yeah. You got if you want a guy, but they also use Pittman for the Wildcat, and he's getting touches. He's getting a lot of touches, and he's scoring the football. So
the young
he's getting
guy
featured.
The young guy out of Nebraska, the tight end, he's been hurt now. I think he's done for the year. I don't think they're going to play him anymore right now. Elijah Moore, I haven't seen him show up. He's a big body guy, and I don't know. I'd like to see these guys a little bit more, but I get it. Then the production is the production.
The only thing I'll say is about receivers. There's going to be plenty of them in the portal. There always are.
And there are, and running backs too, running backs.
So that's the one position where I think, like Deuce, he was available. You can find big play receivers in the portal. Thankfully, it's harder with other positions to find reliable guys, but there's a lot of guys with a lot of the yardage that are going to be available. So
you're right, and like you said, and we said that Deuce is going to get some phone calls. He's going to get some phone calls. I mean, and I don't blame the kid. No. This is not as much of a loyalty thing. It's if the right offer comes, he's probably going to take it because then he can get onto a team that's more stable going into 2026 and potentially make more money. So, but Florida State can counter, right? You can make counter offers to a guy, but there's so much instability right now about this football team. We don't even know potentially who the head coach is going to be. So,
he's about to have a 1,000-yard season. He's got 937 right now. If he does come back, he's going to want more money potentially than he would make going to the NFL.
I would.
And 2, he's going to want to know who his quarterback is and what the offense looks like. He came here because he knew it, and I think the broadcaster said it correctly, is that this type of offense leads to more one-on-one type matchups, which he's done very well on. He's exploited that, and he's been able to be featured that way, which is paying off for him. He's made big time catches. He's getting big time yardage. He's making a lot of touchdowns. So it's worked out for him.
He's made himself noticeable,
which is great, right? Which is what he wanted to do. And that's what he needed.
What you want to do. And he's helped his football team win football games.
Yeah. But they're going to have to pitch to him, hey, we can sign you to this. And this is the quarterback that's going to be here to support you. Because I do think it's going to be hard to recruit. Like Tommy said this, he doesn't know if this will be his last home game because he may apply for that waiver. I don't think bringing Tommy back next year is
I thought they already applied.
No, he still said it's still up in the air. But I don't think bringing Tommy back would be the best move for this team, this offense. You saw it. He missed Lane McCoy wide open in the middle of the field. I, I think I think this offense does get stalled sometimes because he can't make some of the intermediate throws and he can't make them consistently.
And we don't play well from behind. He can't really bring you back.
They don't respect, and people don't respect.
And they don't respect his passing. They're gonna stop your run and they're gonna make him pass. When you don't have I don't know if the word is elite or an efficient, a very good guy who can cover the field with passes, they're gonna make you run. And then when they stop your run, they're gonna make you throw the ball. And if you can't do it, and especially if you get behind, we're not a good come from behind team with Tommy at quarterback. And this is no disrespect to him. The kid plays his heart out. It's just he's met his ceiling. And he did look like a better runner last night. He looked like his legs were better last night because his cuts and everything, and he looked like he's more willing, was good. And we don't know if Tommy would come back. He might, if he can't get the number he wants or if he can't get this application. I don't know what the future of that's going to be. But we'll say Mike Norvell said something because he was asked about it again. He goes, well, I don't know. He played in one bowl game someplace, and that shouldn't matter. I don't even know what the hell that means. I mean, no one follows up on, what do you mean, coach? I don't understand. What is he's either looking for a redshirt year, I guess, that he never had, but I don't get it. But
I honestly think that if they were able to, and like I said, we've agreed. I really love Tommy. I think he's helped keep this team together in terms of,
and he's been a leader.
He has been a leader. He's put his body on the line. He's
tough year.
He's almost got his head taken off on the field and come back. Like, he's really left it all on the field. But like you said, I think we're a quarterback away from this offense really, really being good. Someone who, when you're behind the sticks, how many 3rd and 7s did we have last night? And we've been in those situations a lot where it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you can't get it because you can't make the right throw. You're behind the sticks, so you have to run you can't go to your regular playbook, but you can't deliver the football on time, or you miss the open guy.
The management, the football management is going to have to decide first on head coach, second on coordinators, and then who's the quarterback? Is it going to be Sperry? Is it going to be Brock Glenn? Is it going to be some guy they bring in? There's a lot of decisions.
It's not going to be Brock Glenn. If it's Brock Glenn, I will not be watching Florida State football in 2020.
Well, you got to, because we do the show.
I won't.
What
you can give me a recap. Yeah, I will not be watching Brock Glenn.
On, don't be that
be the quarterback.
Don't be.
He is not the answer. Brock Glenn is not the quarterback of this team.
I watched the team when they were 0-11. I was in the stands. You don't quit on the team.
I'm not quitting on team. I'm just not watching it.
Brock Glenn is not going to be the lead quarterback. He is more of a backup quarterback. That's who he is, and that's okay.
Yes, and that is okay. No,
it's okay. Some guys are brought to this football team to be backups. That's their role.
I agree.
Okay, whether they accept it or not, he is not going to be the featured quarterback on this program. That's it. Let's get this question right here and answer this from Mark Dorfman. He's one of our regulars. Mark, welcome to the program. I'll answer it first, and then you give your thoughts. Yeah. Mark asks, you guys think the team itself still supports Norvell? Yeah, I do. I think this team is still playing hard. I don't think they ever quit at this point or during the season. I really don't. They're playing. I think they're playing for Norvell. I think Norvell's a very likable guy. I'm not sure. I think he's an okay coach, but he's not an elite coach. He's not. He, in my opinion, whether Norvell comes back or not, I don't think he'll be back in 2026. And I stick with that. And I don't think he deserves to come back in 2026. He cannot be the face of this program if you want to be an elite program, which seems to be the standard here at Florida State. Okay. He cannot be that guy. But do I think the team supports him? Yes, I do. What do you think, KB?
Yeah, I think many players, because many of these players, obviously, he recruited or he via high school, like the Desir twins, or the portal and Tommy and stuff like that. The running, Chrome, a lot of these younger guys, he took he evaluated, he recruited, and so yeah, he has not done anything to wrong them. We're the ones, many of us out there and the fans are the ones that aren't happy with the results and want him gone. but I don't think the players are blaming him for the result necessarily. I think, like Tommy said, it's up to the players to execute on the plays, and
Execution.
a lot of it has come down to execution. Because for them not to say it's that is for them to say they're not good enough to make the plays. So I don't think they blame Mike Norvell. I think they're still fighting for Mike Norvell. If they weren't, I think we would have seen a different result last night.
Well, they're fighting for Mike Norvell, but they're also fighting for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once you lose most of your goals of playing a sport, especially in these days, you're still in the hunt for yourself. It becomes self-survival. It becomes money. Did I make any money for myself today in practice or in the game, especially because I'm looking for my future, right? And that's another great reason. If you're not behind the coach, you're behind yourself. Your family is urging you on. Your fans, your individual friends are urging you on. You don't want, who the hell wants to go on TV and look bad? Nobody. Okay. So the motivation is there for a variety of reasons, but I don't think they hate Norvell. I don't think he's disrespectful for them. The results haven't been there. Execution's a big part of it. Coaches call plays, players make plays or don't make plays.
I also, yeah, and like you said, I think that if they really hated Mike or they thought this locker room was toxic, I think you had already seen guys sit out or kind of say I'm going to opt out and put my name in the portal now. And you haven't seen that. You've seen guys continue to fight and practice, and it's good. And it's good to see. I'm not saying this team is perfect, obviously. And I'm not saying the results are there. And I'm not saying, but I do think they are still playing behind the message of Mike Norvell, right or wrong. And now
Norvell, Mark Dorfer makes a good point, which leads me into something. And he's talking about money here because money's an issue. Money, we don't know if it's an issue in getting a new coach. We don't know. We don't know nothing. And nobody in Florida State media knows it either. They admit to it. Guys who are doing this 24/7, they have no clue. They have no sources. There's no leaks going on. I honestly believe Florida State management football program is already looking at and potentially in negotiations or talks with agents of headliner coaches. I do believe that in my heart. Now, here's one other side to this. If Norvell were to win one of the next two games, NC State or Florida, they're going to go to a bowl game. All right. That would make him, they're 5-5 now. He could be 6-6 if he goes one out of the two. He could be 7-5 if he wins both. Here's what they could say. They could really make this bold thing and say, listen, we'll keep Mike for another year. That reduces his buyout. And that money we're going to save, we're going to put into player acquisition. They could do you know how, if they saved, I don't know, let's say $5 to $10 million, you know how many key players they could bring in for that amount of money?
Yeah.
A hell of a lot. And they're going to have to go to the portal anyways. So they could say, listen, we need to go out and spend this money on players, and we'll keep Mike around. He got to 6-6 or 7-5, and we're going to do it from that aspect, thinking we can at least get back to another bowl game next year, because next year's schedule is not as easy as this one, in my opinion. That's for sure. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if he's retained and he wants to win this fan base back, I do believe that something like that needs to happen. There needs to be something where he says, I'm going to take, like you said, my salary portion of it and put it right back into the Battle's End or into NIL funds so that we can accelerate this rebuild and get us back to where we need to be. I totally agree with you. Because if he does come back, and I do think it's a 50-50 chance right now. I think the odds have gone up that there's a 50-50 chance.
But you don't think he's the face of this program, for a long time in the future, whatever the hell that means. He's not going to take us to where we want to go if our standard is national championships. Mike's not that guy. He's
Doesn't
just
look like
a
it,
guy.
but
He
we
may
may not
be a
be able to get
7
rid
and
of him.
5 guy. He may be a 7 and 5 guy. He may be.
He's already been he's already been a 12
yeah.
and 0 guy, so I can't say that. He already went
Then
undefeated and got screwed. So I can't say that because he's done it once. So and that's what he's hanging on to. But I can't say that's not on his resume. Undefeated season, ACC championship. I can't say he hasn't done that before.
Shout out to Henry here, who's joining. Henry, we're glad you're here tonight. There's been a lot of chat about Jimbo. Everybody hated Jimbo, but there's been a lot of chat. Jimbo's not coming back to this program. Yes,
No.
That is a divorce, unless they saw that as a short-term 3-year thing and they were able to get him for cheap money. I would be shocked.
The one thing I'll say is that
I wouldn't be disappointed. I'd be shocked to see Jimbo back on the sidelines for Florida State.
The one thing I'll say about Jimbo is that Marcel Reed, the quarterback that Texas A&M has, that was Jimbo's quarterback. That's the guy he recruited. The guy knows how to recruit.
Jimbo knows how to get players, and he was a quarterback guy.
But he needs to. He didn't embrace bringing in an offensive coordinator.
He brought
that was
in
his
Jameis.
issue.
Jameis was his guy.
I know. So he
and
brought
Jameis,
in.
by the way, played a hell of a game today. He was the third string guy, got handed the ball. The Giants had fired their coach, and he played the Packers down to the end today. They lost by 7, but Jameis loves playing ball. He's a baller.
Yeah. But yeah, to Jimbo's credit, the results weren't always there, but for Texas A&M, but he did recruit a lot of those recruits. And
Jimbo's overall coaching record, college ranks, pretty damn good.
I know.
Damn good.
Yeah. So, like he said, if you're looking for someone who can recruit and recruit well, Jimbo could be the guy, but he would need to bring in the right staff, which he didn't do at Texas A&M. He didn't give up enough of the reins. He needs to do what he does well. The other thing that's been talked about continuing is, James Franklin. I do believe he's waiting for Florida State to open. I don't think he wants to go to Virginia Tech. I
think you're right. I think you're right. It says early stages of talking. That shit's been out there for 3 weeks now or more.
Yeah.
I mean, since he got fired, I don't think he wants to go to Virginia Tech either.
No,
I really don't.
I think his dream would be Florida State. And once again, that's a semi-lateral move, I think, for Florida State. James Franklin, didn't win a ton of big games. Recruited,
but he's won a lot of games. He did a great job at Vanderbilt. He rebuilt them, and then he jumped to Penn State. He won a lot of games. Sometimes you're right. It's like at Florida State. If you don't beat Florida and Miami, those are the 2 games you got to be 500 on at least. If you're getting your ass beat all the time, they're going to get rid of you. There's too much political pressure.
Yeah.
Franklin is obviously established himself as a credible coach. He's credible. He's played a lot of games in the Big Ten, and I don't know if he's the best fit for this. I don't think he is, but I think you're right. He could be waiting for this job to see, and they may be talking to him. We don't know that they're not. I believe Florida State is talking to coaches at this point.
Yeah. The final thing I want to bring up about this game is, the field conditions the last 2 weeks have been terrible. I don't know who the hell is managing the field maintenance staff or whoever, but the last 2 weeks, the amount of players slipping and how the field looks just minutes after they start play is ridiculous. The divots,
big chunks up.
Has it been raining for 3 straight weeks in Tallahassee? I don't understand this. The field should not look that. It's not like they're having concerts on the field. I've seen fields be flipped over from a college to a pro game that look better than that. It's ridiculous how bad that field on both sides of the field. And it's
Are we
not
going to have
good
to go back to the 1-inch cleats and screw them onto the shoes like the old days?
It's just I'm more worried about player safety because I've seen guys at the commander stand here. So many guys get hurt because the field conditions suck, and guys twist their ankle, twist their knee because they get stuck, and it's unacceptable. Someone needs to be seeing this stuff and say, what are we doing to protect our field and keep it in shape throughout the season? Yeah, right. Protect our players and keep it in shape during the season. We have these brand new facilities, but we can't keep our field pristine.
Well, you know what I didn't understand? I was watching another program after the game, and the reporters were right on the field. There's a guy cutting the grass right behind him.
Yeah.
He was literally, which they mentioned, the guy's running up and down, cutting the grass. Why do you have to? Didn't you cut the grass before the game? Did it grow that much that you have to cut it right after the game? Yeah. Bottom line is the field does not look good. Okay.
Yeah.
And like you say, oh, hell, and I'm glad you brought it up because people in social media were bringing it up during the game. They're saying that
It is.
field for both teams. Yeah.
But it's looked trash the last couple of weeks they played at home. It's unacceptable.
Remember, that laid down just before the first game of the season.
What'd you say?
Against Alabama.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
They
But against Wake Forest
thing.
2 weeks ago, it looked bad. It's I just started
It
noticing
probably
but
has not rooted sufficiently. It probably has not rooted sufficiently during this period of time because you started, they planted that in probably the last couple of weeks of August, which is hot as shit still. Yeah. That's not a great time to plant grass. You want to plant it in the fall, but they had to get the field open. So you got what you got.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. Like I said, good game. Not a great game, I would say. Like I said, I thought the defense gave up a lot of third downs. They gave a lot of yellow yards, but you came out to win, like you said. You were able to make the stops you needed to. You were able to make the big plays. It was great to see freshmen like the Sear twins, Mandrell, make a big play. It was great to see Deuce step up. And I think honestly, missing Jabril was a loss, but you had other guys step up. Jerry Wilson stepped up. I think it was one of his better. And we kept saying that. I don't think he's had a great season compared to last year at Houston, but he needs to have these next 3 games are big for his NFL stock and to get game tape. And I think last night he put up some decent game tape with the pick and him coming downfield, making the big tackle. He needs to continue to do that, play physical, just like Jabril does. Because I think Jabril,
I think safeties played good too.
Yeah, I think what's his name? I always kid from Bama.
Yeah, I know. I forgot.
Okay. Well,
tell us the name.
No, I just it's been a long day. But he's played well. He's continued to play well. I feel like in the back of the season he struggled midway through in terms of the games we lost, UVA and some of those high level high scoring games. But I thought in the middle of the field he really was able to identify and go downhill quickly. So once again, did Florida State defense play elite? No. Did they give up a lot of yards? Yes. Did they get off the field on third downs? Not a lot. But they kept points off the board when they needed to. And I think
thank you, Henry. Yeah, Little.
Omar, God, Little. Yes, Earl Little. Thank you.
Earl Little Jr.
Yes, he's played, I felt, a lot more physically.
He's picked up his play. Yeah,
he's picked up his play. And once again, the competition hasn't been elite, but he's picked it up and the effort's been there.
He's smelling the next level. He wants a good opportunity and he's in there smacking people. So that's a good thing.
And
I got a couple things when you wrap up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wrapped up.
Okay. Couple things. One, I kind of launched this past week a basketball episode that I will be doing. And so if you guys hit that bell, hit that subscribe, hit that bell or thumbs up or whatever the hell it is. And that way, when we do some basketball, this is an exciting basketball team. I don't know how well they're going to do. They're not going to win the national championship. They're probably not going to win the ACC championship. But there is a very unique style of play. And Coach Luke Laux, former FSU player, he's got him really playing hard from his NBA experience. Luke brings in a lot of NBA experience, European experience. A lot of people don't understand. Some of these players who don't make it in the NBA, they go over and have a career overseas. You don't understand how many professional teams there are overseas in all the countries over there. So, and also now, because of his ties, he's able to recruit some of the best overseas players. Look at the roster. There are a number of overseas players. One of them I'll just mention is Thomas Bassong. He's a freshman out of Paris, France. He has a very big upside. So if you hit that bell, you'll see me, and KB will jump in now and then on the basketball side. I'm excited to watch, and you can watch a lot of those games on TV. But other than that, I think we're really good shape. I hope this football team can win at least one out
Really
of the
good
two.
shape. Who's in really good shape?
No way.
Not Florida State.
No. I hope. No, I'm talking about the basketball. We're in good shape there, and it's going to get better. Okay, no matter what, we're going to lose some games, but I want you to look at his style. We don't have a big man presence. He did recruit a guy. I'm going to do a little episode on that. We got a 7-footer he really likes, thinks the kid's going to be very good, and I'll be talking about that. And I'll post when the show's going to come on. However, I hope Florida State, because these players have worked their asses off, I hope they can get a swag bag at a bowl game. So we need 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 2. I'd love to beat Florida in Gainesville. They played scarily very good last night against Mississippi. They gave Lane Kiffin all he wanted, and he could be the next head coach there at Florida or at LSU. He is the man in demand right now, and he's probably going to end up at one of those two. He is not going to stay at Mississippi. I will be shocked if he stays at Mississippi. I don't know how KB feels about that, but that's what I got. What do you got, KB?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he does, because I think he could have everything he wants in Oxford, and I think in the age of NIL, and we've talked about this in prior shows, I think you can win the national championship anywhere nowadays. I think just because talent is now spread out everywhere amongst the top 25 plus programs. Hell, even in basketball now, you got guys signing with smaller schools. BYU has the #1 recruit. Now they're top 5, top 7 team. NIL has changed the game, and the traditional programs that win all the titles, or the only people who can contend for titles, is no longer the case. As long as you're in a power conference, you have a chance now. And
if
as
you
long as
make
you
it
have
to
the
the
NIL backing,
playoffs, if you make it to the playoffs, you have a shot.
And as long as you have the financial backing, you can compete. And Ole Miss does have the financial. They've been backing Lane Kiffin, giving him essentially everything he needs to build a roster every year. And that's why they're number 7 in the country. And that's why last year they were competitive. That's why every year he's been at Ole Miss, they've been competitive.
Have they offered him a recent extension or not? I haven't heard anything like that.
They may be talking through it. They may be talking through it.
But once again, I would think they would be.
He was 10-1 last year. He's going on, looking to be 10-1 this year. He can win there. That's the thing I don't understand. I don't know what the advantages of going to Florida would be at this point, because like I said, it's if you have the NIL, you can drive whatever you want. And he's built better rosters right now than Florida. So if you believe in the admin and you believe in what they're going to give you, and you can get paid contractually as well, then why would you upturn everything?
Let me add to that argument you just brought up. And Jimbo Fisher said he left Florida State at the time because he couldn't get the resources he needed. But Texas A&M, there's no doubt in my mind, he looked at not only the money they were giving him, but he knew the resources there were much bigger and much more substantial, even going into the SEC, to potentially win at a bigger level, I believe. Even though I don't know how he thought he couldn't build good enough at Florida State to win consistently enough to win titles, which he did at Florida State. But obviously money and resources is a big attractor. Does Lane Kiffin believe that he could get that at LSU or Florida? What he has done, I heard somebody national radio say this, but at Mississippi, they'll accept an 8-3 or 8-4 season occasionally, okay? Where Florida and LSU might not. All right, they're not as patient. That is a great point. They're not as patient, but at Mississippi they would be. That doesn't downgrade Mississippi. It just says they're more patient with people.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic point. So once again, you have that where they're willing to be flexible with you. Okay, you have a down year. We're not going to crucify you for that. Also, if you can get paid, and also if you have the resources and you feel like you have the facilities, if you have all 4 of those, why, once again, uproot your roster, have to rebuild once again
and your family.
Yeah, and your family, and uproot and rebuild the entire program in Florida in the image of what you already have. That's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah,
you already have it in the conference. You're already 10-1 the conference 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I think, will we ever have coaches that stay 15, 20 seasons at one school
in this era.
Like that's what I mean.
I think in this era when money is now flowing into programs, if you have the money, I think you have a higher chance of keeping a coach. Now, that's not to say a guy from the Big 12 and stuff like that's not going to try to go up into one of these Power 2 conferences, the Big 10 or SEC. But no, if you're in one of the power conferences, I think once again, if you have all 4 of those things that the admin's going to give you, I don't know why. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more coaches stay once again, as long as they're meeting the expectations that the admin gives you. And like you said, the expectations is different from program to program. And I think at Ole Miss, he could have a down year next year and have 8 or 9 wins,
and they'll be okay.
And he'll be okay. Versus Florida, if you're not getting 9 or 10 wins in your first two years or so, you'll be billied. You'll be out. And they may not be that patient with the next coach, right? Because the last 2 coaches haven't worked out for them, or as far, they let Dan Mullen go, and he was a pretty good coach, it turns out. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch that. But I do think, I think they're trying to put smoke. Fans are trying to put Smokey's going to Florida as an absolute. I don't think it is an absolute. Wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I think there's a lot more benefits
I think,
to staying.
I think you and I would agree. It's down to 3 places: stay where you are, go to LSU, or go to Florida. Where the hell else would he go?
Well, the Giants job is open now. So, I mean, you can never turn away the NFL. If the NFL comes calling.
They are quicker to get rid of you. Well, his quarterback's there too, right? Dart.
Jackson Dart. So he could go reunite with Jameis. Him. Yeah. So Jackson Dart was having a good season before he got hurt. That's
their coach was a loser there. That guy, he didn't even look like a damn coach. I'll tell you what, my last point, and then I'm done. No disrespect to Texas A&M, who won a squeaker. I mean, they came back and scored. They were down 30-3. And I kind of texted you, said, I think Beamer just got fired. That was kind of hype. And he's not fired. But they are now last in the SEC, I think, South Carolina is. I don't think Beamer's going to make it. But Mike Elko, if you're watching this program, which you're not, you need to make sure how do I say this? I'll just say it. You need to lose some weight, buddy. Oh, my God. Mike Elko, you're going to have a health issue. This is a stressful job they're in. Mike Elko needs to lose about 75 pounds.
Okay.
Look at the pictures of Mike. And I'm concerned about his health. At pictures. I'm saying I'm concerned about his health.
He's rich enough to go hire a trainer.
Job.
Okay.
Of course, he's gotten loaded with trainers. Come on. Yeah, all right. That's it for me. I'm done.
No, but on that topic, I hate how the narrative around that game for them. Great. They came back by 23 plus points. Why were you down 23 plus points against a 3-6 football team at home? 20. That's the thing. You were down 27 points at home to a 3-6 football team. That's what we should be focusing on.
Football. That's what football
But
is.
You shouldn't be rewarded for that. They should have moved down. After Georgia just beat ass against Texas, they should have passed Tech. I don't give it. A win's a win. Georgia just beat ass against Texas. They should have moved over Texas A&M based on their performance. Performance matters. They didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Came out tonight.
That's what I'm saying. They're still number 3.
When does the poll come out, tonight or tomorrow?
This is the poll. Texas A&M is still number 3. Georgia's number 4.
Wow.
Now, that may not be the playoff poll. This is the AP. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Essentially, Texas A&M didn't get penalized for playing like shit. But no, they did the comeback against a 3-6 football team at home. Georgia's still in the AP and the playoff. And here's the playoff.
You're right. I'm going to agree with you. I don't always agree with you, but I do.
That's ridiculous. All you see on the ESPN things is the amazing comeback, Who gives a shit? You put yourself in that position.
Hey, look.
Why are you being praised for it?
Even Dorfman agrees with me. I'm a cardiologist, but he's right.
It's stupid. So teams don't get the benefit of beating ass and staying ahead.
ESPN is getting a bias here.
Exactly.
Now they're already talking about this. Oh, we got to go. We got so many different episodes that'll be coming up. Yeah. But the bias is the ESPN's already talking about how many teams do you think the SEC will get into the playoffs?
Yeah. Too many.
And no 3-loss team has ever gotten in.
Well,
so.
they're gonna get, they're gonna get a couple 3-loss teams in there. Texas is somehow gonna get in. So
well, the two teams that are in the SEC championship will get in. Correct.
Okay, yeah.
No
we'll
matter
talk
who
about
loses,
playoffs. We'll talk about playoffs later.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a playoff show later.
There'll be a lot of shows coming.
Yeah, join us on Wednesday. We'll do our NC State show for that. Remember, that's a Friday night 8 p.m. game.
Back at our regular
Raleigh,
time, right? 7:40.
Yeah, 7:40 on Wednesday.
7:40.
Previewing NC State. Get us ready for that game. That should be, once again, that's gonna be a very, very tough game. Even though Miami blew the pants off of them, it's gonna be a tough one in Raleigh at night on Friday night. So be prepared for that.
Miami kicked their ass.
That's like I just said that.
This would be so disappointing to lose to NC State.
How are you disappointed at this point? We've lost
we'll talk
many
about
teams this year. So.
We'll talk about.
Right.
That's true. That's another episode.
All right. So thank you guys for coming out.
Congratulations to the Noles. Big victory. We'll take any win at this point. So. Yep. Hey, last point. I won a bet. I put a bet at Hard Rock Seminole. I bet on the Noles. It went back and forth. It was 14.5 points. In the end, the old man won the bet. Old man wins. Old man wins with the Noles.
All right.
Never bet against the Noles.
All right. Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate your time. Appreciate you hitting the like button, subscribing, and feel free to please join us on Wednesday for our NC State preview show. And once again, as always, go Noles, go Noles. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Take care and have a great start to your week on Monday.
Seminole sideline 3.